All right, so picture this. You're setting off on a journey, but it's not just any journey, right? You've got a Pokemon at your side. And not just any Pokemon. We're talking Bulbasaur here. What does that say about you?
Well, that's what we're diving into today. We're taking a deep dive into some tarot readings, and guess what? They're all centered around Bulbasaur.
Choosing Bulbasaur as your guide, that's
Yeah.
interesting, It kind of suggests that you're all about growth, stability, that sort of thing, but you're also ready to tackle challenges head on. Does that, resonate with you at all?
It really does feel like there's this pull towards Bulbasaur's energy, that steady, dependable vibe. We've got two different readings that you send over, both about Bulbasaur. So we're going to see what they have in common, maybe uncover some surprises along the way.
Right, sounds good. Let's jump in. Where are we starting?
We're going to start with the Path of Growth reading. And right away, there's this contrast that sticks out. First card up is the Knight of Swords, which often makes me think of action, ambition. But then we've also got this theme of solitude, contemplation.
Yeah.
Almost like you're being called to go inward before charging ahead.
Yeah, like you're supposed to hone that creative energy on your own first before you share it with everyone. And speaking of sharing, the imagery with these cards is interesting too. There's this mention of a pack of lions, and they're raising a child who's different. What do you make of that?
That's a great point. It seems to suggest that even though that alone time is important, especially for your creativity, you also come alive when you're with people who get you, people who celebrate what makes you unique, like you're meant to find your tribe.
Exactly. And this whole need for self-expression, being your true self, that comes through even stronger in the next card. You got the Three of Wands, which often points to unspoken feelings and wanting to express them. And it's combined with this hopeful energy of the star.
So it's not just about finding those people, that tribe, but actually having the courage to open up to them, to show them who you really are.
That's it. It's about trusting them enough to be vulnerable, to share those parts of yourself you might have kept hidden, and believing they'll be there to support you no matter what.
Okay, so then there's the third card, and it feels like we're getting into some deeper stuff here. We've got Judgment, and it's paired with the phrase, "It hurts to see you," and the Ten of Cups. What do you think when you see this combo?
Now, this is where things get really interesting. Judgment usually makes me think of looking back, reflecting on the past and maybe coming to terms with some stuff. And then the Ten of Cups is all about that ideal vision of happiness, fulfillment, but then throwing in, it hurts to see you.
Yeah.
It adds this whole other layer. Like maybe there are some unresolved emotions tied to past relationships, maybe some that didn't end so well.
So maybe it's an invitation to take a look at those past relationships, especially the ones that ended abruptly. Not to dwell on the pain or anything, but to see how those experiences shaped you.
Absolutely. It's about understanding that even those tough experiences helped you grow. They made you who you are today. And speaking of growth, the next card hints at where you might find some real support and nurturing in your life, and it's coming from a romantic connection.
Okay, now we're talking. Tell me more.
So you drew the Queen of Swords, who's all about intelligence, being emotionally independent, and then there's the King of Cups, representing emotional maturity, depth, and to top it off, you've got the High Priestess, which is all about intuition, that spiritual connection. This isn't just a fling, we're talking a meeting of minds and hearts on a deeper level.
Wow, so we're talking about a connection with the potential to be incredibly transformative, but there's a twist, isn't there?
You caught that, didn't you? The cards do suggest there might be a significant age gap here.
Yeah.
But before we jump to conclusions, it's important to note that the focus is not on material stuff or social status. It really emphasizes the emotional and spiritual bond as the driving force in this potential relationship.
So let's recap. We've got embracing solitude to fuel creativity, finding your tribe, looking back at past relationships, and the potential for a deep, transformative romance, all in the first four cards. What does the final card in this Path of Growth spread have for us?
Well, it seems like not everyone's going to be thrilled about your newfound happiness and success. You pulled the Seven of Swords, which usually makes me think of betrayal and deception. But then there's also the Six of Wands, which is all about victory and being recognized for your achievements.
Oh, interesting. So are we talking about jealousy? Like as you step into your power, become more authentically you, some people might not be cool with it.
That's one way to see it. The Seven of Swords does suggest that not everyone's going to be on board with your journey, and some might even try to sabotage your success. But the Six of Wands is there to reassure you. It suggests that no matter what obstacles come up, you're going to overcome them. You're going to succeed even if some people struggle to celebrate with you.
It's like that saying, the only people who want to see you do well, but not better than them, are your enemies.
Uh-huh. Exactly. But don't forget, their negativity reflects on them, not you. This whole reading is about you. And the most important thing is that you stay true to yourself and your path.
Wow, we've unpacked a lot already. Solitude, self-expression, reflection, romance, even a little bit of drama. Where do we go from here?
It seems like in this first reading, growth is definitely on the horizon, but it's going to come with some challenges. It's about embracing who you are, finding your people, and navigating those tricky waters of past and present relationships.
Absolutely. And this is just the beginning. When we come back, we're diving into the Vine Whip of Growth spread. This one seems to have a more action-oriented vibe, kind of mirroring how Bulbasaur evolves. You know, it's wild how these readings kind of play off each other. It's like we've laid out the big themes, and now it's all about how to navigate it all. Speaking of which, let's dive into that second Bulbasaur spread you sent, the Vine Whip of Growth. This one seems way more proactive,
Yeah.
focused on what you can actually do to grow, just like Bulbasaur uses its Vine Whip to overcome stuff. What are your first impressions on this one?
What I find really cool about this spread is how it zeroes in on your inner strength, like what you're already bringing to the table. It's not just about what needs work, but the tools you have to make it happen.
I love that. It's like having a secret weapon, but for your own life.
Right.
And this first card, it jumps right in. So this card's all about Bulbasaur's overgrow ability, which, if you're playing the game, it means Bulbasaur gets stronger when it's low on energy. And here it's paired with Three of Cups and Eight of Cups. Usually, Three of Cups makes me think celebrations, good times. But Eight of Cups is about walking away, even if it was good once. Interesting combo, right? What's going on there?
It's almost like it's saying, hey, remember those happy times, those connections, but holding on to stuff that isn't working anymore, that's going to block you from growing. Just like when Bulbasaur uses overgrow, when it's drained, you've got this power inside to find strength, especially when you're feeling depleted, like you're ready to move on from stuff that's not doing it for you anymore, even if it used to make you happy.
It's that whole bittersweet thing, right? Like closing a chapter, even if it stings a little. But it's to make room for new stuff.
Exactly. And speaking of making room, this next card, Leech Seed, that one really got me. It's all about spotting those energy vampires in your life. I think we've all met a few, right? People or situations that just drain you dry.
Ugh, tell me about it. And I'm not talking about the sparkly kind either. More like after you deal with them, you need a nap and a therapy session all in one. But this card, it's not just about pointing them out, is it?
You got it. It's about what you do with that knowledge. And this card here, the Sun, that's a powerful one. It's vitality, joy, abundance, the whole shebang. It's like saying you got what it takes to flip that negativity, those leech seed moments, and turn them into fuel for your own growth.
I love that. Turning those energy suckers into sunshine. It's like not just blocking the bad, but actually using it to your advantage. So we're tapping into our strength, reclaiming our energy. But what about taking action? That's where Vine Whip comes in, right?
Exactly. It's about taking charge. And this card, the Three of Swords, might seem kind of out of place here.
Because who thinks time to grieve when they're trying to level up their life? Sounds counterintuitive,
I
right?
know, right? But think about it. Growth usually means letting go of old stuff to make room for the new stuff. This card isn't saying to wallow. It's about facing any pain, any disappointments from before. Letting yourself grieve so you can move on.
So less about dwelling in the darkness, more about clearing out those cobwebs so the light can shine through, huh?
You got it. And once you've made some space, time to rest and recharge. Which brings us to sleep powder. Now, you might be wondering, what's sleep got to do with anything? But even Bulbasaur needs a power nap to use those moves, right?
So true. Sometimes the most productive thing is to just rest. And what better card for that than the Hierophant? Seems a little fancy for a nap, but what do you think?
I know, right? The Hierophant isn't usually the first thing that comes to mind when I think nap time. But it's about that inner wisdom, that gut feeling. Sometimes taking care of yourself means slowing down, listening to that inner voice.
Like creating a little sanctuary for yourself,
Yeah.
somewhere you can reconnect with what you know deep down and come back feeling refreshed.
Exactly. And that brings us to our last card, Solar Beam, which is like the grand finale of all that growth. And the card we've got is the Emperor.
Now things are getting good. The Emperor is all about structure, being in charge, mastering your domain.
That's it. And not in a bossy way. It's about mastering yourself, how you use your energy, where you're going in life. By going on this whole growth journey, setting boundaries, not letting negativity win, it's like you're being guided to this place of real stability, leadership.
It's like you're not just growing up, but you're becoming a force of nature. Like Bulbasaur evolving into Venusaur, but instead of vines, it's your presence, your wisdom that commands respect. Man, we have been through a lot today. We started with Bulbasaur, this little Pokemon with a ton of potential, right? And going through these readings, it feels like we've actually uncovered this plan for, like, your own growth.
It is really something, how these totally different things, Pokemon and tarot, can come together and tell us so much. What really sticks out to you from all this?
I think it's that whole idea of transformation. We talked about how being alone can spark your creative side, finding your people, even that chance of like a really deep, life-changing romance. But then there's this whole other thing about seeing where you're giving your energy away and learning how to use those bad vibes to help you grow. It's just like Bulbasaur becoming Venusaur.
Yeah.
There's that power that comes from working on your strengths and tackling challenges.
That's a great way to put it. And it's bigger than just you, too. It's about the impact you have. We've talked about leadership, but that doesn't always mean big, flashy moves.
So true. It's like that whole be the change thing, but with Bulbasaur. As you're becoming your own Venusaur, remember, you growing affects everyone. What kind of growth are you helping others with?
That is a powerful question to think about. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I really hope you take that with you. How are you going to use your own strength, your overgrow power, not just for yourself, but to help the world around you grow too?
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into your personalized Pokemon Tarot reading. We looked at the path to growth, how to vine whip those obstacles, and that solar beam power we've all got inside. Until next time, remember, even the strongest Venusaur started as a tiny seed, just waiting to grow. Keep taking care of that seed inside you, and who knows how amazing things will be. Okay, get ready, because things are about to get kind of mystical, kind of nostalgic.
That's right. We are diving into the world of Pokemon Tarot.
And specifically, we've got a deep dive into the Charmander spread.
Yeah, and we actually had 3 different readings done just to see what kind of different perspectives we could get.
3 different readings. Okay, so for anyone who maybe missed out on the whole Pokemon phenomenon, first of all, no judgment. But basically, this Charmander spread uses tarot cards
Yes.
to give you insights into, like, your passions, your love life.
It does. And it's interesting because, we often think about Pokemon and we think about our childhoods, but these readings get surprisingly deep in terms of self-love, in terms of manifestation, even hinting at maybe this listener being a guide for others, which is very interesting.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. So let's jump into it. Where do these readings, like, what's the first thing they focus on?
So the first card in the spread is all about, like, what's going on in your heart right now.
Okay.
And every single reading focused on love and your outlook on it.
Wow. Okay.
It was very interesting to see that consistency.
So was it the same card in all the readings, or?
It wasn't the same card in all of the readings, but they had a very similar energy to them. So one of them actually had the love card, which is very on the nose.
It's like we're not messing around.
Right, exactly. And then another one had the 5 of Cups and another one had the Knight of Swords.
Okay.
But taken together, it really speaks to somebody who, like, deeply desires genuine connection.
Yeah.
But it seems like maybe there have been some disappointments in the past.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're not giving up.
No, not at all. Like, you're getting right back on that Tauros
What's that?
and, like, ready to charge into love head first.
I love that energy. Like, yes, bring it on.
Yes. And I think what's so interesting, too, is that even though there's this acknowledgement of, maybe some past hurts, all 3 readings had, like, this really beautiful sense of optimism.
Okay.
Like, no matter what life throws your way, you still are so open to love and to letting it light your path, which I think is really, really cool. And actually, one of the readings, and I'm just going to quote this directly because I thought this was so sweet. It said, "I love you and everyone in the world like you."
Oh, that's so sweet.
Isn't that cute?
It's like, I just want to put you in my pocket and take you everywhere.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so lovely. Okay, so we've got this desire for connection.
Yes.
What are we supposed to do? What are some of the, like, the actionable things that these readings suggest for our listeners?
So the next card in the spread is all about kind of like fanning those flames, taking action.
Okay.
And One word really stood out to me when I was looking at all three readings for this particular card, and that word is authentic.
Be yourself.
Be yourself, 100%.
Yeah.
All three readings really emphasize that you need to show up as your most genuine self right from the get-go.
No more pretending to like things you don't just to impress someone.
No, no, no.
See?
And one reading even went so far as to suggest that you should be planning dates that are really reflective of your personality. So, like, if you're competitive, maybe instead of going to dinner, you go to, like, I don't know, a Pokemon battle arena.
That's a good idea. Or you challenge them to a Pokemon Go competition.
Exactly. See, you get...
Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay, so authenticity. It seems to be the big theme here. We're being our true selves. Now what?
Well, I think it's important to also look at how each reading defined authenticity, because they were all a little different, which I think is
Right.
really cool. So one of them emphasized like really letting your playful side shine through.
Okay.
So, don't be afraid to be a little silly, have some fun, crack some jokes. Another one really focused on being open about the things that you're passionate about, even if they're a little bit quirky or nerdy or different.
So no more hiding your love for Pokemon.
Exactly. And then the third one really honed in on the importance of being upfront about your needs and your expectations in a relationship.
Oh, that's a good one.
Like, what are your non-negotiables? What are your deal breakers? Don't be afraid to put those out there from the start.
That's huge to
Yeah.
set those boundaries early on.
Exactly. It all goes back to fostering genuine connection. Like, you can't build a strong foundation
Right.
if you're not being true to who you are.
Totally. So we've talked about being authentic. We've talked about like what we want in a partner, but often, relationships come with challenges
Mm-hmm.
and things that, maybe trip us up along the way.
Right.
So the next card in this spread is called Burn. It's about like potential roadblocks.
Okay.
And one card kept popping up in these readings, which is really interesting to me, the Empress.
Okay, what's the Empress all about in these readings? So the Empress is a very interesting card because, traditionally in tarot, she represents like nurturing, abundance.
Okay.
She's like Mother Earth. But here's the thing. In 2 out of the 3 readings, she showed up in reverse,
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
which suggests maybe that you're pouring a lot of that nurturing energy outwards, possibly to the detriment of your own needs.
Oh, so like giving too much too soon.
Potentially, yeah. And I think that ties into the one reading that talks specifically about this fear of never finding the one.
Okay.
Like you're so worried about like scaring somebody off that you end up prioritizing stability and predictability over like genuine joy and fulfillment.
It's like settling for the Magikarp instead of holding out for the Gyarados because you're worried it's never going to come.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
100%.
Like you're worthy of that Gyarados.
Like you are.
Don't settle for the Magikarp.
And it's okay to want stability and predictability, but it shouldn't come at the expense of like your heart truly singing.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't dim your flame for someone else.
Exactly.
Let it burn bright.
Yes.
Right? Don't dim that flame for anyone. So we've talked about authenticity. We've talked about challenges. What about transformation? What comes next?
Okay, so the next card, it's called Transformation, and it reveals those like exciting changes, that are coming your way as you step into your power.
Give me the juicy details.
Okay, so all 3 readings, they're aligned on this. Get ready for manifestation, self-protection, and really taking charge of your love life. We're talking big, bold energy here. Cards like the Chariot, the 3 of Wands, they suggest that those efforts, especially all the work you've been doing around self-love and authenticity,
Yes.
they're about to pay off, like big time.
Yes. It's happening. What else?
And remember those boundaries we were talking about?
Yeah.
One reading specifically called out using those boundaries to protect your energy, to be discerning about who and what you allow into your space.
Love it. Like you're not invited to this party.
Exactly. It's like you get to choose.
Yeah.
You have the power.
Okay. So we're clear on what we want.
Mm-hmm.
We're not afraid to say no to what doesn't serve us. What do the other readings say about this transformation?
The other 2, they really honed in on clarity and discernment, like less about building walls, more about developing this like inner radar, being able to see through facades and really identify those people who genuinely vibe with that authentic self you've been cultivating.
Yeah. Like you just know. You can just tell.
Exactly.
It's like when you just know a Pokemon is right for your team, you're like, I choose you.
Yes, 100%. Trust that instinct.
Yes. Okay. So we've gone from embracing authenticity to manifesting our desires.
Yeah.
Now we get to see you rise from the ashes.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me everything.
Well-
What does this final Phoenix card reveal about the new you?
It's all about self-reliance and confidence.
Okay.
Like, the readings consistently show you as someone who no longer needs validation from external sources.
Okay.
You've tapped into your own worth. You're not looking for someone else to complete you.
You are complete.
You are complete. And, you know, I think about those, like, really epic Pokemon battles where, like, you've got to rely on your own skills, your own strategies to come out on top. That's what this feels like.
Yeah, I got this.
Yes. Exactly. And what's fascinating is that one reading even took it a step further.
Oh.
It suggested that you might actually become a source of guidance for others, sharing the wisdom that you've gained through your own experiences.
Wow, like leveling up to like a whole other level. Like you become the wise mentor.
Yes. Like a Pokemon master,
Yes.
guiding others on their journeys.
Oh, I love that. You know, it's just amazing how these readings, even with like the Pokemon theme,
Yeah.
have uncovered these really insightful patterns.
Right.
It's really quite beautiful.
It is. It speaks to how these archetypes, whether it's like ancient tarot or, you know, beloved childhood games, they really tap into something universal, I think, about like the human experience.
Totally, totally. Okay, so we've looked at these individual cards now. I'm really curious to hear your take on the bigger picture. Like, what are some of the overarching themes, like the connecting threads that you're seeing between these three readings?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thing that really jumps out at me is how each reading highlighted a different facet of the Charmander archetype itself.
Oh, I like that.
Right. So like one really emphasized resilience and self-love, like your ability to bounce back from challenges, embrace your true authentic self, quirks and all.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like that fiery spirit. Like no matter what life throws at you, you're just going to dust yourself off. You're going to come back even stronger.
Yeah.
Just like Charmander evolving to Charmeleon and then ultimately Charizard.
Yes, exactly. And then another reading really focused on like manifestation and taking action.
Yeah.
Like channeling that Charmander boldness, that inner drive to go after what you want.
Yes, love it.
Create the life that you desire.
No more waiting for Prince Charming or Princess Charming taking charge.
You are grabbing life by the Pokeball
Yeah.
and making it happen.
Yes.
And then finally, we have this reading that really highlighted your potential for growth and guidance. Like that your journey, this journey of self-discovery that you're on, embracing your inner fire, could lead you to this place of like profound wisdom, compassion,
Yeah.
where you're able to like illuminate the path for others.
Wow. So we've got resilience, we've got action, we've got guidance. Like this Charmander energy is the whole package.
Right. Multifaceted.
It is. It really is. So we've got resilience, we've got action, we've got guidance. Like this Charmander energy is the whole package. But I mean, what's the, like, if you had to boil it down, what's the core message here for our listener?
You know, if we zoom out and look at all three readings together,
Yeah.
it's trust.
Trust.
Trusting your intuition,
Okay.
trusting that you are worthy, and really trusting the journey, you know, even when it throws those curveballs.
It's not always going to be rare candies and like effortless evolutions. Right?
No.
Sometimes you got to learn those TMs, master those moves,
Yes.
take a hit or two along the way.
Totally. But you have everything you need already within you to navigate those challenges. Like, remember that inner radar?
Yeah, yeah.
Tuning into that, listening to that voice, that's really what this is about.
Yeah, it's like knowing when to use a potion, when to go all in with a hyper beam.
Exactly.
Sometimes you got to trust your gut, even if it goes against, like, you know, the conventional wisdom.
100%. And part of that trust, too, is trusting that you are worthy of love, of connection.
Yeah.
Like, these readings are really encouraging you to break free from those patterns of, like, seeking validation from others. Like, you are a Gyarados in the making. Okay, no
Yeah.
more of this Magikarp mentality.
Love it.
You've evolved, and as you continue to evolve,
Yeah.
remember that journey itself, that's where the wisdom is.
All part of the adventure.
Exactly. The challenges, the lessons, those become part of your story.
And you never know, sharing that story could, like, light the way for someone else.
Absolutely.
Who's going through their own, like, Pokemon journey.
It's
you
like
know?
you become the gym leader.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
You're using your experience to help others train and grow.
So cool. Okay, well, to wrap things up, it seems like these readings are really urging you to embrace your inner Charmander.
Yes.
That passionate, resilient,
fire.
that evolving part of yourself, right?
Yes.
Trust your intuition, take action, and know that you are worthy of love.
Yes.
and a life that truly lights you up.
And even the smallest spark can ignite a fire. So what act of self-love will you choose today to fan those flames?
Oh, wait. So today we are diving into some really interesting waters.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking tarot,
Right.
but with a Pokemon twist.
Okay.
You decided to unlock some emotional depth with Squirtle.
Hmm.
What do you think drew you to our little blue friend?
Uh-huh. Well, it's really interesting how you can take these two worlds, like tarot and Pokemon, and use them to get a new perspective on your emotion.
Right.
And I think Squirtle, as a water Pokemon,
Yeah.
really embodies that sense of fluidity and
Yeah.
adaptability.
Absolutely, yeah.
Don't you think?
But I think of Squirtle, I think emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Going with the flow,
Yeah.
having a little bit of a protective shell when needed.
Right.
So you gave us your spread,
Okay.
all laid out Squirtle style. And I have to say the card representing your current emotional state definitely caught my eye. The Four of Pentacles.
Okay.
And paired with career and the Two of Wands.
Interesting.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there.
There is.
Yeah.
It makes me think of that classic image of like clinging onto a bucking bull.
Oh, yeah.
Just holding on for dear life.
Yeah.
You're holding on to your ambition, represented by the Two of Wands, and
Oh.
also your relationships, the Four of Pentacles.
Oh, wow.
So it's a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like you're worried that if you loosen your grip on either one, even for a second, you risk losing everything. And that's a pretty intense feeling.
It is. And
Yeah.
it really highlights, I think, a fear that we see a lot with this combination.
Okay.
Which is the fear of succeeding in one area of life at the expense of another. Like, you can't have it all.
Right.
You can't be successful in your career and have these fulfilling relationships. But this is what I think is really interesting about this.
Okay.
That fear of scarcity, of not having enough to go around, it can actually become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
So by clinging so tightly to both career and relationships, you might actually be creating the very scarcity you're afraid of.
Precisely.
Oh, wow.
It's that either mentality that can really hold us back.
Yeah.
And this leads us perfectly to the Tides card in your spread, the Ace of Cups.
Oh.
It's overflowing with emotion.
Yeah.
But you have to be open to letting it flow.
Right.
So this card often represents that deep well of emotions within us.
Okay.
It's urging authenticity in our relationships.
So it's interesting to see it paired with, let's take a break. What do you make of that?
It's interesting. What do you think?
To me, it feels like a call for more vulnerability.
Right.
A chance to maybe hit pause
Yeah.
and reconnect with what truly matters. But the reading also mentions a tendency to buy your way out of emotional issues,
Yes.
which feels like the opposite of vulnerability.
It is interesting, isn't it?
Right.
It reminds me of the Knight of Pentacles, often associated with material solutions and a desire for control.
Okay.
It's like trying to fix a leaky faucet with a hammer.
Okay.
You might stop the leak temporarily, but you haven't addressed the root of the problem.
So are you trying to control your emotions instead of experiencing them?
Possibly.
That's a powerful question.
It is.
It seems like the Knight of Pentacles in this context
Yeah.
is nudging you towards those small,
Yes,
consistent acts of care
Yeah.
rather than grand, sweeping gestures.
exactly.
Right.
Think of it like tending a garden.
Okay.
Consistent care.
Yeah.
A little watering here, a little weeding there leads to the most beautiful growth and blossoming.
Now let's dive a little deeper with the depth card. The Five of Wands.
Okay.
This card often represents conflict and competition.
Yes.
And you've got, you're the only reason I don't quit this job, paired with it. I have to admit, things are getting pretty interesting.
Indeed.
Yeah.
This combination, particularly alongside the Eight of Pentacles,
Okay.
suggests some internal conflict related to work, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Is it a source of genuine fulfillment?
Right.
Or is it possibly a way to avoid dealing with deeper emotions? So interesting. The Eight of Pentacles often represents dedication, craftsmanship, really pouring your energy into something. What happens when that drive is channeled into something that might not be fulfilling your true potential?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
And the reading hints at a potentially complicated workplace relationship,
Okay.
which makes me think about boundaries. Are those lines getting blurred?
It's certainly something to reflect on.
Yeah.
While we want to respect your privacy, it's worth considering if those types of entanglements might be making it more challenging to decipher what truly brings you joy
Hmm.
and what might be causing unnecessary stress.
So we're seeing a bit of a pattern here when you say
Yes.
a pull between seeking fulfillment externally through work
Right.
and potentially avoiding some of those deeper emotional currents.
Yes, and that's where the flow card might offer some guidance.
Okay.
We're looking at the Three of Pentacles,
Okay.
often associated with collaboration and teamwork,
Okay.
paired with everything started to make sense when I met you. I'm curious, what comes to mind when you hear those words?
It really makes you think about the power of connection and how
Yeah.
sometimes having that outside perspective can be really helpful to help us make sense of our own experiences.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Three of Pentacles reminds us that we don't have to navigate these emotional journeys on our own.
Right.
It's about seeking guidance, support from others,
Yeah.
whether that's, a trusted friend, a mentor,
Right.
maybe even a therapist.
Yeah.
It's like having a guide while you're navigating a really complex maze.
And in this spread, the Three of Pentacles is accompanied by the Six of Swords,
Okay.
a card often associated with transition, moving towards calmer waters.
Right.
What do you make of that pairing?
I think it just speaks to the idea that seeking help, allowing others to support us through those transitions is actually a sign of strength, not weakness.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that, we don't have to have all the answers ourselves.
Yeah,
And asking for help can be the bravest, most important step we take.
absolutely.
Yeah,
It's about acknowledging that we're all kind of in this together
right.
and that sometimes that outside perspective is really helpful, can make all the difference.
Yeah.
Now, we can't forget about the final card in this spread, the reflection card. We're looking at the Ace of Wands, a card often associated with new beginnings
Yeah,
and creative energy.
right.
But it's paired with a pretty direct statement. Tell me how you really feel.
It's very direct.
Yeah. What do you make of that combination?
To me, it just highlights a powerful truth,
Okay.
which is that true connection, both with ourselves and with others, requires honesty. So the Ace of Wands, with all its fiery energy,
Right.
is urging you to tap into your authentic self.
Yeah.
What happens when you allow yourself to express your true feelings without holding back?
Yeah, it's like that saying,
Right.
we teach people how to treat us.
Yes.
By being honest with ourselves and others, we set the stage for more genuine and fulfilling relationships.
Exactly.
It's interesting to see the Ten of Pentacles here, too.
Yeah.
It's a card that often represents legacy and the impact we have on others,
Right.
especially family.
It's about recognizing that our emotional lives are interconnected.
Right.
Our willingness to be vulnerable,
Yeah.
to express our true selves,
Mm.
can have a ripple effect,
Right.
inspiring those around us to do the same.
Yeah. So by choosing emotional honesty,
Right.
you're not only healing yourself, but you're also potentially impacting future generations.
Absolutely.
That's really cool.
It is.
So we've explored the emotional currents flowing through this spread,
Okay.
but we're about to take things a step further.
Okay.
Remember how you chose Squirtle as your guide?
Yes.
Well, we are going to dive even deeper into how each of Squirtle's unique moves can offer a personalized look at your emotional intelligence.
I love it.
What do you say we start with Squirtle's special ability, Torrent?
Let's dive in.
All right. So with Torrent, we're looking at the Knight of Cups and the Nine of Swords.
Okay.
Now, the Knight of Cups is often seen as the embodiment of compassion and emotional depth. Well, the Nine of Swords often points to anxiety and worry.
Right.
It feels like a bit of a contradiction, wouldn't you say?
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that's where the symbolism of torrent comes into play.
Okay.
Just like a sudden rush of water can be both powerful
Right.
and potentially overwhelming.
Yeah.
These two cards together highlight the double-edged sword of emotional sensitivity.
Okay.
You have a big heart, a deep well of compassion,
Yeah.
but it also means you might feel things more intensely than others.
So it's about finding that balance.
Yes.
That sweet spot where you can harness the power of your emotions without letting them completely sweep you away.
Yep. Exactly. Recognizing those moments when the current is getting a bit strong.
Right.
And finding healthy ways to channel that emotional energy
Yeah.
before it becomes all-consuming.
And speaking of channeling energy, let's move on to Squirtle's first move. Water gun.
Okay.
So with this move, we have the Lovers and the Six of Cups.
Okay.
The Lovers card often represents choices, especially in relationships.
Right.
And the Six of Cups signifies nostalgia and the innocence of childhood.
Interesting.
What do you make of those connections?
I love that you picked up on that.
Okay.
Water gun reminds us that even small actions, when infused with love and compassion,
Mm-hmm.
can be incredibly effective.
Yes.
It's not always about the grand gestures or
Mm.
trying to fix everything at once.
Huh.
Sometimes it's those small, consistent acts of kindness that
Wow.
nourish both ourselves and the people around us.
It's about making those conscious choices to approach our relationships with that same openness
Right.
and willingness to connect.
Mhm.
A bit like that playful energy of Squirtle's water gun.
Yes.
It's gentle but effective.
Exactly.
So with that in mind, how can you bring a little more of that water gun energy into your daily interactions?
That's a great question to ponder.
Yeah.
Now on to move number 2. Withdraw.
Okay.
The cards here are the Queen of Cups and the Moon.
Okay.
This pairing seems to suggest a need for introspection, wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
The Queen of Cups, in all her emotional depth,
Mm.
invites us to turn that compassion inward.
Yeah.
Are we being kind to ourselves? Are we holding on to past hurts or engaging in negative self-talk?
And the moon, often associated with hidden truths and illusions,
Right.
encourages us to examine those shadowy parts of ourselves. Are we holding ourselves back by reliving past mistakes?
It's so easy to do.
Right. Or
Yeah.
are we giving ourselves the same grace and understanding that we would offer to a loved one?
Exactly.
It's like Squirtle retreating into its shell for protection.
Right.
Sometimes we need to create that space for ourselves
Yeah.
to regroup, recharge,
Mhm.
and offer ourselves that same level of care and compassion.
Exactly. Now, how about we shake things up a bit with rapid spin?
Okay.
This move brings us the Queen of Pentacles and Temperance.
Okay.
I'm sensing a shift in energy here
Yeah.
towards stability and balance.
I agree. The Queen of Pentacles is all about practicality, grounding,
Yes.
and self-sufficiency.
It's about taking control of your own well-being
Mm-hmm.
and creating a sense of stability in your life.
And Temperance. That card is all about finding that sweet spot, that harmonious balance between extremes.
Yes.
Right.
It encourages us to move from a place of feeling stuck or like a victim
Mm-hmm.
to a place of empowered action.
Love that.
What small act of self-care can you commit to today?
Yeah.
Something that nourishes your mind, body, or spirit.
It's important to be proactive about our well-being.
It is.
Now, let's unleash the power with Squirtle's final move, Hydro Pump.
Okay.
And with this move, we have the Tower and the King of Pentacles.
Wow.
This combination feels significant.
Yeah.
Almost like a major life change.
It is a powerful combination, isn't it? Right. Hydro Pump is like Squirtle's ultimate attack, a force of nature.
Right.
And the tower represents those moments in life when we're forced to confront major upheaval, to rebuild from the ground up.
So it's like channeling that intense emotional energy, those Hydro Pump moments,
Right.
into creating lasting change in our lives,
Exactly.
which could be a bit chaotic.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is where the King of Pentacles comes in.
Okay.
This card embodies stability,
Right.
grounded action,
Right.
creating a solid foundation.
So you're taking those powerful emotions
Yeah.
and you're using them constructively. It makes me think about how people use journaling to process intense emotions.
Absolutely.
It allows you to kind of get it all out.
Yeah, it's like having a safe space to unleash your inner hydro pump
Right.
without,
Without hurting anyone.
without fear of judgment or causing any real life damage.
Yeah, it allows you to process those feelings and then you can gain clarity.
Right.
It's like that idea we talked about earlier
Yes.
about finding healthy ways to channel emotional energy.
Exactly. And the reading also mentioned ensuring that your relationships are mutually beneficial,
Right.
not one-sided.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, how do you feel about the give and take in your relationships?
It's really easy to fall into those patterns where maybe we rely too heavily on others for emotional support,
Right.
or we find ourselves constantly being the one who's there for everyone else,
Yeah.
but we're not really receiving the same in return.
It's about finding that balance.
Finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
It's all about reciprocity.
Yes.
It's about showing up for yourself as much as you show up for others.
Absolutely.
This entire tidal flow of emotion section,
yeah.
diving deeper into Squirtle's moves, has been incredible.
It's been really fun.
It's amazing how much we can learn about ourselves
It is.
just through these seemingly simple connections.
It's a testament to the power of symbolism and how it can unlock a deeper understanding of our own experiences.
Thinking about Squirtle and all its moves
Yeah.
makes me think about, those Pokemon masters that we admire.
Right.
Those trainers who have dedicated themselves to understanding their Pokemon,
Right.
mastering those elemental powers, forming those incredible bonds.
It's a wonderful analogy for this work.
Right.
It's a continuous process of learning, growing, and evolving.
What if we approached our own emotional landscape with that same dedication,
Right.
that same intentionality?
Yeah, what would that look like?
Right.
Yeah.
What if we could all strive to become masters of our own emotions?
It's a powerful thought, isn't it?
It is.
And remember, it's not about becoming unflappable
Right.
or trying to suppress certain emotions.
Right.
It's about cultivating a deeper understanding of our emotional currents,
Right.
learning to navigate them with greater awareness and skill.
Just like a Pokemon master trains and evolves their Pokemon.
Yes.
We can do the same with our own emotions.
We can.
I love that.
Yeah.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this final thought.
Okay.
What would it mean for you to become an emotional master?
Mm.
What areas of your emotional landscape are you ready to train and evolve?
That's a good one.
These are deep waters to explore.
They are.
We encourage you to dive in.
Yes.
After all, even the most powerful hydro pump starts with a single drop.
Well said.